Hello everyone, welcome to the Cinema Analysis channel. I am Juzo. This channel will explore the hidden truths of films that are not usually revealed. Today I'd like to talk about Violent Cop. It was Takeshi Kitano's first film as a director. I'd like to discuss why this film is so shocking. If you haven't seen the film yet, I suggest you watch it first. So let's get started. Takeshi Kitano is currently a world-renowned film director. His films are known for being extremely violent. This is Takeshi Kitano's worldwide image. However, when this film was made, he was known as Beat Takeshi, one of the most famous comedians in Japan. He is still known as Beat Takeshi as a performer today. The Japanese public was shocked that the comedian Beat Takeshi had made a film with such a violent portrayal. However, the essence of the shock does not seem to have been fully understood to this day. Many critics describe the excellence of the film as lying in the numerous walking shots of Azuma, the protagonist played by Beat Takeshi. Generally, the purpose of these shots is said to be to convey a hard-boiled atmosphere or to reflect the protagonist's mental state and the progression of the story. According to my research, the shots in which Takeshi Kitano walks occupy approximately 9 minutes. However, Takeshi Kitano described on a TV program that he added many walking shots because the film was too short. He also said, "The critics don't understand anything. It is these walking shots that give the film its character. However, the film would be varied without them. For example, Azuma walks for around 1 minute and 45 seconds at the beginning of the film. Although this shot is impressive, the film would still be varied without it. It was probably added to make the film longer. This side-on shot does not show the protagonist's head, as it is outside the frame. The film's photographer protested, but Takeshi Kitano insisted that this composition was good enough. It is said to lead to trouble. Each person is free to feel that these walking scenes are favorable. However, they are not the essence of the film." At the end, the Japanese Film Criticism Forum praised the film's thorough and painstaking depiction of violence. Such awesome depictions of violence are rare. Consider the following scene, for example. In the bathroom of the nightclub, Azuma slaps the drug dealer 24 times. It is characterized by the small number of cuts. 6 slaps are shown in the first shot. 17 slaps are shown in the next shot. There is one final slap in the last shot. Cutting in a film makes its tempo good. However, this reduces the tension of the scene. Slapping many times in one shot creates extraordinary tension. Takeshi Kitano once remarked that he wouldn't portray violence like sports. If you have to portray violence, it should convey pain and be distressing. One famous film director influenced by Takeshi Kitano is Quentin Tarantino. The relentless depiction of violence in films such as Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction is reminiscent of Takeshi Kitano's influence. The violent scenes that appear in the latter part of the film are also tremendous. In one scene, the assassin Kiyohiro, played by Hakuryu, tries to kill Azuma. He pulls out a handgun and tries to shoot Azuma. Azuma then kicked his hand. The bullet then hit a girl who was just passing by. Even if you are just a law-abiding citizen, you could still be affected by violence. There's nothing worse than that. In Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, there's a shot exactly like the shot. He was probably influenced by this film. However, what characterizes the film is not only the violent depiction, but also Ito Takeshi's typical comedic direction. Kikuchi, a young police detective played by Makoto Ashikawa, takes Azuma to his regular bar. The female bartender asks Kikuchi. The English subtitle reads, "How's work?" But she actually said in Japanese was, "How's work in your company?" She looks at Azuma and asks Kikuchi. The English subtitle reads, "Is this your colleague?" What she actually said in Japanese was, "company colleague." Her next question was, "Remind me what line you were in." What she actually said was, "What type of company do you work for?" The word company suggests that Kikuchi had been concealing the fact that he was a police officer. Azuma then answers, "Mail order guns." This is illegal even in the United States. It's completely ridiculous in Japan. This conversation is typical of comedian Beat Takeshi. The conversation involving Kikuchi is completely comedic. A colleague of Kikuchi's said that he was a greenhorn. Azuma raged about it. Kikuchi said he meant me, trying to calm him down. But Azuma scolded Kikuchi, of course, who else? When Kikuchi asks Azuma why he became a police officer, he replied, "Through a friend." Another police officer reveals Azuma's violent past to Kikuchi. In the past, Azuma once mistook a child for a criminal and shot him. Azuma replied, "I aimed to shoot the kid." Japanese police officers rarely get to use their pistols except in training. Most of them end their career as a police officer without ever having fired a pistol in the line of duty. This expression is therefore far from reality. It is therefore clear that this expression is fiction. In the 1988 film Die Hard, the black police officer was traumatized by shooting a child, and then shooting became impossible for him. However, Azuma in Violent Cop doesn't seem to care about shooting the child. It's an awful joke. However, it is typical of Beat Takeshi. The film script was written by Hisashi Nozawa. However, its content is blatantly altered. This is why the film is filled with comedic expression typical of Beat Takeshi. The scene in which the assassin Kiyohiro, played by Hakuryu, appears for the first time is notable. The voice of a man talking can be heard from the car radio. What he is saying depicts someone moving around Tokyo. After Kiyohiro gets out of his car, he gets into trouble over a drug deal and kills his opponent. The meaning of the tale from the car radio is understood by almost nobody. This is one of the stories of rakugo, a form of Japanese comedy storytelling. The name of the program is Koganemochi, which means golden rice cake. The performance is played by the fifth Kokonte Shincho, one of the most famous rakugo players in history. What is the story of Koganemochi? A miserly priest puts gold in rice cakes, swallows them, and dies as a result. Why did he do such a stupid thing? It is thought that his fear of being robbed was so strong that he ate them. As this story is merely a comedy, such nonsense behavior took place. After witnessing the priest's death, the protagonist tries to retrieve the gold from his body. He tries to get the gold from the priest's ashes. Then he drives away the worker who picks up the bones of the dead. Such slapstick is portrayed. What can be heard on the radio is simply a depiction of walking. Foreign people probably won't understand the meaning of this depiction. Even most Japanese people would just think Takeshi loves Kokonte Shincho. However, Takeshi must have had a reason for choosing this program. Koganemochi is a story about robbing property from the dead. It's an apt program for portraying the essence of Kiyohiro, the assassin. It is fitting that Takeshi Kitano played this piece on the radio. It fuses the comedian Beat Takeshi and the creator Takeshi Kitano. This is the directorial debut of Takeshi Kitano. Prior to this film, he was known to the Japanese public as the comedian Beat Takeshi. He is still known as Beat Takeshi as a comedian. At the time this film was released in Japan, Beat Takeshi was at the top of his game as a comedian. Beat Takeshi was expected to do funny things and make the public laugh. Those who only know Takeshi Kitano as a film director would never be able to imagine this. At the time, the Japanese public regarded Beat Takeshi as comedy personified. The idea was that something funny would definitely happen in Beat Takeshi's presence. In fact, the beginning of the film is full of black humor, typical of Beat Takeshi. This film is shocking because comedy and violence coexist. The audience laughs at Beat Takeshi's comedic artistry while simultaneously witnessing tremendous violence. They witness the violence and are left with the feeling that they laughed. They watch the violent scene laughing. The audience realizes that they can enjoy violence. For many people, violent scenes in films are an expression of the cruelty of other people, not the audience themselves. Many people think that human beings are inherently cruel, not including themselves. But by watching Takeshi Kitano's films, the audience recognizes the cruelty that exists inside themselves. This is the harsh reality of Takeshi Kitano's work. He forces the audience to confront the ugly side of themselves that they try to ignore. It is a cruelty within yourself, not that of others. Beat Takeshi once said that most people in the world are stupid. Nevertheless, his popularity never waned. He explained why. Everyone thinks they are the exception. Takeshi's intention must have been to make people aware of a fact they hadn't noticed. Steven Spielberg often uses a combination of comedy and shock in his films. After making the audience laugh or relax, he scares them. This is typical of Spielberg. Like Takeshi Kitano, Spielberg often depicts horrible scenes as black humor. However, Takeshi Kitano's painful depictions seem to be his trademark. The scene in which the criminal is chased in the middle of the film is an excellent blend of comedy and violence. The tremendous violence of hitting the cop's head with a metal bat is striking. Azuma and Kikuchi chase the criminal. At one point, Azuma orders Kikuchi to ignore the one-way sign. This is an exquisite, well-balanced expression. It skillfully destroys the audience's sense of reason. Road traffic laws should be obeyed. However, breaking the rules a little is sometimes required to capture violent criminals. The audience are confused and start to laugh. The ethical brakes of the audience start to loosen. The man who hit the police detective must be caught, but they could hardly capture him. While driving the car, they find a criminal they had lost. They happen to run him over while chasing him. Along with a sense of guilt, the audience feels a sense of relaxation or slight exhilaration. However, the man got up and started to destroy their car with a metal bat. They ran him over again and Azuma started kicking him. As the audience became more emotionally shaken, their aversion to violence gradually fades. The emotional standards that the audience originally had began to shift. The tremendous violent depiction assails them. It evokes feelings of both pain and exhilaration. It makes the audience notice the cruelty within themselves. They may have tried to shift their ethical standards from the beginning of the film. It is a pretense that violating minors is not favorable, but everyone knows that if minors are not severely punished, their lives will be ruined. At the beginning of the film, a group of minors assault a homeless person. The protagonist follows one of the boys home. He beats the young boy and orders him to hand himself in. The protagonist's actions are against social convention, but not necessarily against ethics. It is an exquisite depiction of deviation. From the outset, the audience's ethical standards are shaken. The protagonist Azuma repeats his deviant behavior and is fired from the police force. He illegally obtains a handgun and assaults the Yakuza. His beloved younger sister had become addicted to drugs supplied by the Yakuza. Azuma shoots her in an attempt to kill her, and she was his last hope for a normal life. He was then killed by the other Yakuza. But Takeshi didn't fail as an act in the scene in which Azuma was shot in the head and killed. He actually lost his consciousness. Theatrical blood and gunpowder were placed on his head and exploded. It is said that the technical unit mistook the quantity of gunpowder. The protagonist deviates from social norms and proceeds towards destruction. Takeshi Kitano has repeatedly created films with this motif. But Takeshi kills himself many times in his films. Eric Sadie's Gnosian No. 1 is used several times in the film. The arrangement by Daisuke Kume, who composed the film's music, creates a strange atmosphere. But why is this tune used? Eric Sadie was known as the musical iconoclast. As the theme song for a character who deviates from society, his work fits well. Another famous film that uses the tune is The Fire Within, made in 1963. The protagonist of this film also kills himself in the end. Akari, Azuma's younger sister, played by Maiko Kawakami, is the last reason for Azuma to live. This windmill scene portrays it. Akari becomes addicted to drugs and is shot dead by Azuma. A woman as innocent as Akari also appears in Hanabi. She is the protagonist's wife, played by Kayoko Kishimoto. The protagonist kills his wife and then himself. A girl who happened to be there is also portrayed, playing with her kite. This image is similar to that of Maiko Kawakami, who holds a windmill. This girl's name is Shoko, who is Takeshi Kitano's real daughter. Innocent women are portrayed in contrast to the protagonist, who becomes desperate and is ruined. This image first appears in his debut work. Some people ask Kitano about the negative impact of violent video content. He replies as follows: "Although this world is full of tear-jerking movies, peace never comes. That's just the way it is." In this film, Takeshi Kitano expresses the idea that everyone thinks that they are not violent. Everyone thinks they have nothing to do with it. The aim of this work is to make them realize this. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please subscribe and give me thumbs up.